PDP, they are comedians.
I'm not going to come to this platform to campaign for anybody. I will not just stand here and say, oh, this is important.
Only on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Let's talk.
So the Zoom link is up. If you're joined now, see it. Have you sent it to him?
Have you sent the Zoom link? Yes, I sent it.
Share with your people who are looking at it here.
I sent it to him. Tell him to hold on. You can go live. Are you going live now or just waiting for you? He's waiting for you.
Huh?
On Zoom, he's waiting for you.
I'm up.
So what should I do?
Uche, yeah?
No,
It's
just
Uche.
okay, here, yes.
It's here.
It's here. Yeah, all right, let's go.
Good morning, Lagos. Good morning, good morning. Welcome once again to 99.3 Nigeria Info. We're here today again. It's Saturday morning. Trust me, it's one of those Saturday mornings where you have to stay glued to your radio because we're giving you everything, as we say here in Nigeria, back to back. My name is Emmanuel Onka, reaching you all the way from 99.3 Nigeria Info, all the way from Victoria Island in Lagos, wherever you listen to us in Abuja, Lagos, the abroad, wherever you are across the world. This is 99.3 Nigeria Info. We start off here this Saturday morning with our relationship 360, where you have to pay attention, close attention to all of the relationship issues and difficulties for starting way behind time. But don't worry, we'll make up for that in just a moment. We're going on to afterwards the relationship 360. We join Jimmy DC on to discuss by 9 a.m. and thereafter we head on to travel and culture by 10. And by 11 a.m. the reports are brought to you by the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund in collaboration with Nigeria Info. And we ended up with some very good music here on the Saturday morning show. Ladies and gentlemen, I have with me starting the relationship 360 this very morning, having the conversation. Many of you joined us last week, and it was very, very emotional here in the studios last week. Hearing the stories, and the accusations that came up from the very show we had. Mother and the father, parent in the building, telling us about their situation, and it was all. I don't even know how to put it in words, but I have Barrister Olumide with me this morning, and trust me, this morning is going to hopefully, set things very straight. We're going to touch that issue and make sure that we're going to make sure that the books are straight this morning. So pay attention to your reading because in a very short while we're going on to that. Barrister, good morning. How are you doing today?
Good morning. Good morning. Awesome to see you.
And you're very excited, though.
I'm
Will I
getting
say
used
excited?
to. I'm getting used to
This side of it.
one on this side, and Onyinye is not here.
Wow. You had to paint it like
yeah,
that.
I had to just stare a little.
We've been
I'm
doing
like,
this since, so
yeah.
don't be acting user.
Almost 4 years with someone after 5 years. Anyway, good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in again to Relationship 360. I will go straight to the point this morning. We appreciate you everywhere you are, not far from home. And last week, I think, let me give you the genesis. I was approached by Mr. Eddie and Mrs. Linda Adigwe, the grandparents that came last week, and who said the story about how their granddaughter was kidnapped by Mr. Ujenaji, her biological father, after he was alleged to have murdered his wife in a spirit of domestic violence, hitting her head on the wall. We had it was an uproar here. Everyone, in fact, the kind of calls, the kinds of messages, and I had to, over the week, do my investigation. First of all, I tried to help them stop any alleged abduction out of the country. I had to put a stop to that to try to now find out the real story, what happened. The alleged collaboration with the Zone 2 State the Federal Command under the AIG, they alleged that police officers connived with the gentleman and to abduct their daughter. So this week was a week of discovery. I got their court documents, all what they had alleged. And fortunately, I was also able to get in contact with Mr. Uchinaji himself and his lawyer, Mr. Rotimi Adeniji, who happens to be with me here in the studio. And we also have Mr. Uche Naji here himself, but online, as we couldn't make it because of logistical reasons to be here very early this morning. So, can we have Mr. Uche?
Yes,
Is he
Mr.
there?
Uchenna is here with us. And Lagos, remember that if you want to see everything that's happening in the studio, you can rush to our YouTube channel, our social media pages are up. YouTube, Nigeria Info FM, on social media, Facebook, Nigeria Info 99.3. And you can see Mr. Uchenna joining us live online. And his lawyer is right here in the studio, so you can see everything as it unfolds. Mr. Uchenna, good morning. Can you hear me? Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much
Also,
for joining
Mr.
us.
Uche, how are you? Thank you. And Mr. Rotimi Adeniyi.
Good morning. Good morning.
Try that again, please.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rotimi Adeni.
We can't hear you. Just try it one more time.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Rotimi Adeni, counsel to Mr. Uchenna.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Also, so let me kick the ball rolling because we don't really have much time. Mr. Uche, the first allegation against you by the Adigwes is that, number one, he said he never wanted you to marry his daughter. In fact, he collapsed the day you came to pay the bride price. He said that he had seen that you were a bad person and he never wanted that. How was your experience that time when you came to see your intending in-laws? What do you have to say to that?
Please, Mr. Uche, if you can, please turn on your camera. It's very important at this very point in time. Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Barrister Olumide, for that question. So I met my wife while I was in the bank, or while we were working in the bank. We started dating in 2007. And as required, I met their parents. They were welcoming. They received me warmly. There was no indication of any resistance towards what we were planning for the future. When we had our traditional marriage on November 20th, 2008. And we held that traditional marriage held at the residence of my late wife's elder sister. And there was no collapse. I don't know where he said he collapsed. What I know clearly was that he was not feeling fine. Coincidentally, he wasn't feeling fine when that traditional marriage was taking place, but he was present. I knelt down before him. My family met their own family. They paid the bride price there. We had the white wedding November 22nd, 2008. He was present. He was feeling better than the day we had the traditional marriage. So there was no incident. There was no collapse. If there was a collapse during the traditional marriage, I believe that traditional marriage would have ended.
Okay, so let's move to the next question. They allege that she was the one providing for the family and she was responsible. You were rather irresponsible for the upkeep of the home as she was earning more than you were. at that time, and even when you got a job at the oil company, you still did not were not responsible for the house. She was the one taking care of all the bills.
When my wife when I relocated to Port Harcourt, I mean by virtue of marriage, and I got a job in Port Harcourt, because we were all working in the bank. And when I got married, let me make this clear: when I got married to my wife, she was an entry level banker, right? She was an entry level banker. I moved to Port Harcourt because couples are not, as per policy of the bank, couples are not required to be working in the same bank if they're married. So I resigned my appointment with the bank and I moved to Port Harcourt. I was working for an international oil company. I know, I wouldn't want to mention the names, but I was working for an international oil company, and she came to Port Harcourt to join me. She resigned, not that she resigned, she was transferred to the Port Harcourt branch of the bank. So I was working, she was working, and I wasn't jobless. I wonder how they would say that she was providing for the family or providing for my home. We had our responsibilities as husband and wife,
Okay.
and
Okay, it wasn't that you were not jobless, it was that you were making money and you were not spending on your home.
bank statement speaks a lot, right? I printed out my bank statement from 2013 to 2015. When we relocated to Abidjan, when I got transferred to Abidjan, to another oil, to still working for the international oil company, my wife had to resign her job with the bank, and she came to join me in Abidjan with the children. Okay, while I was in Abidjan, and my bank statement is there. My legal counsel should be with my bank statement, and he can present it to you. My wife did not have a job in Abidjan because because of the language, the language they speak in Abidjan is French. So she found it very difficult to get a job. What I did and what I told my wife, what I assured her was, pending when you get a job, I will make a transfer of 100,000 naira at the time, 100,000 naira every month.
Okay,
But so
okay, okay. I would want to confirm that, Mr. Emmanuel. You can also confirm that these are bank statements from GTB
Yeah, I'm looking at bank statements from way. This is 20 January 2016. I'm seeing.
2016.
Okay, it's from 2013
From 2013
to
to 2016.
2015. I'm seeing
15.
here.
Okay, so I have it here. I have your bank statement here, and I can confirm the transfer of 100,000 naira monthly. I had seen it. Yes, I had seen it every. So now I had to go and do some research to find that by December 2013, uh, the dollar was 160 naira. At December 2013, the dollar was 160 naira to $1. The lowest point was in January, when the dollar was 156 naira 24 kobo. February it was 158, and by May it was 159. But by the closing of December 2013, the dollar was 160 naira to 1. So if you are to multiply that, you would see that you were giving her 100,000 naira divided by 160. That would be $625 every month, was what you were giving her. And then if you are to multiply, dollar today is 1,500 naira. So if you are to multiply $625 by 1,500 naira, that means you were giving her 937,500 per month in today's equivalent.
Hmm.
I can confirm, Mr. Emmanuel, you can confirm the bank details there. I have gone through it and we circled that every month. So I can confirm that you were actually giving her money every month to the tune of 937,500 naira as at today.
Dollars.
That's correct. And I just want to make another point here, right? Despite the fact she could not get a job while she was in Abuja, like I said, because of the language barrier, it was difficult. She said she wanted to learn a skill. She wanted to learn a skill and she wanted to learn cake baking, right? So, Barrister Olumide, what she did was she reached out to a friend of hers in Port Harcourt who was into cake baking. And she spoke to the lady. The lady guided her and told her, okay, this is how I learned. The lady told her she learned her baking skills in the United States, right? My late wife was planning to go to Port Harcourt to learn from this lady. She was looking at spending 1 or 2 months with her. And I told her that I wouldn't subscribe to the fact that you go to Port Harcourt because not everybody will want to release their skills or their knowledge to you by virtue of not wanting competition. So I told her that I would rather want you to go to the United States to learn cake baking. But so I paid $1,200 for my late wife to go to the US, Wilton School, Illinois, to learn cake baking. And I present my counsel I presented the receipt to my counsel. He should be with it in your studio.
Yes, I have that. I have that in one of the documents I saw that you actually paid for that. The receipt is also.
Is it with you there? You cited it.
Yes, I cited it. It's with me here. I'm arranging the paper.
Lagos, there's so many documents here. The council
if you
came
can
here.
see the table here,
It's
full of papers, but I cited it and it is on my phone. But I'm going to give it to you to also cite.
Go ahead, Mr.
Go ahead.
That payment, we were in the US on vacation, right? We were in the US on vacation, and the plan was for her to remain in Illinois, in the US, while I come back with my kids back to Abidjan, right? But fortunately, we found out that she was pregnant in the US. And so we decided that, you know what, instead of leaving you behind, staying alone, because she was going to stay alone in Illinois, instead of leaving you behind and staying alone, let's all go back and let's postpone the training, right? And at least this was in 2014. But of course, unfortunately, in 2015, she died. So she never went for that training. But I made that payment. The receipt is there. And the reason why I'm making this point is that Mrs. Adigwe and her husband came last Saturday and said I was not contributing to the welfare of my family. I was not providing funds. My late wife was the one taking care of everything. Why will I, if that was what they felt, why would I go the extra mile to make sure that my late wife was comfortable? If despite the fact she did not have a job, I still made sure she had an income from me. That's why it was coming from me. And I also went further to make sure, okay, you're not getting a job, you can learn the skill. And I paid for a training for her in the US. So how does one come to the studio last Saturday and say that I was not making any contribution to the home? I want to also state that Mrs. Adigwe stated that in that video, in that interview, that each time my late wife takes my kids out, she gets into trouble because I feel she was wasting.
All right, Mr. Uche. There are so many clarifications you have to make, but we have to go on a break. Lagos, please stay here with us on 99.3 Nigeria Info. We'll be back shortly after this break.
News and sports after this. As we celebrate 10 years of 7-Up and Lagos City Marathon being in the game, we have to give it to Lagosians. We know all about running. To enter that pool, we run! Snoring, we run! Son, we run! Unnecessary billing, we run! This is Lagos, and we love running. So, whatever your reason for running this year, own your lane with 7-Up at the Access Bank Lagos City Marathon on the 15th of February. 7-Up, the diff is clear.
Hello, Hello, excuse me. This meal pack looks different. I'm seeing support energy release, BAM, on the pack. Is it the same Milo? No, this one is new and improved. The support energy release means when you give your kids Milo as part of breakfast, you are giving them energy they need to go to school. I like this one.
Your kids need nourishing energy. Give them the new and improved Milo at breakfast. It has nutrients that support energy release to help them get the most out of their day. Milo, energy to go further.
Milo!
For a decade, the Access Bank Lagos City Marathon has been more than just a race. It's been a collection of stories of ordinary people achieving the extraordinary. Every stride taken has created unforgettable memories of triumph, purpose, and shared experiences. With each step, runners have sparked passion that ignites, moments that last a lifetime, strides that leave a legacy. Join us as we celebrate a decade of running, purpose, and progress at the 10th anniversary of the Access Bank Lagos City Marathon. Register today at accessbankplc.com/marathon and be a part of the journey where every step becomes a story to remember.
The Access Bank Lagos City Marathon, celebrating 10 years of running. See you at the starting line.
It's 2025. The biggest conversations are happening on Hard Facts.
One of Rebel was genuinely interested in local government forms who have protested with the council. Nobody's receiving 30,000 naira after serving the country for 5 years.
From the stories shaping Nigeria's future.
And he don't put my mood further whenever people are clapping, his praise singers when they ought to be telling him the truth.
I mean, if you don't do any remarkable thing in your day, and you are celebrating corruption time.
To real-time feedback from you, the citizens.
There is propaganda, they can never make it work. I will move forward that reform.
If NBS is turning out very fake data to us, because this data lacks empirical evidence.
We dig deep with the decision makers, hold the powerful accountable, and keep the conversation alive on social media. Join Mary Ann Okon every Monday to Friday, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. for the most interesting news and current affairs show on radio.
I'm so sorry. I hate it when people make assertions from very skewed and biased places.
Hard Facts on Nigeria Info 99.3. Let's talk.
My kids love tasty snacks, but many snacks are not so good for them. That's why I love the new Milo Energy Snacks.
We love it, Mom.
Yes, it's a delicious snack with the goodness of malt, milk, cocoa, and crunchy Niger-grown maize, containing calcium, iron, and fiber.
So, pack Milo and snacks in your lunchbox every day to help your kids refuel at break time and keep winning all day. Milo, energy to go further.
Milo!
Life can sometimes feel like a marathon, but one thing's for sure, running with friends feels better than running alone. So don't just run on with your Paddy of Life, Aquafina Premium Drinking Water.
Your Paddy of Life.
The 15th of February marks the 10th edition of the Access Bank Lagos City Marathon, and Aquafina has been the loyal party for 10 years, refreshing and hydrating runners every step of the way. There's no better time than now to run the Lagos City Marathon with Aquafina, your party of life.
It is the season of love, ladies and gentlemen, and I have it under good authority to tell you that on Nigeria Info, one play is going to be shaking up your world. Don't miss out on your chance to win your share of 10 million naira. Yes, 10 with 6 zeros following it. Yeah, I did not stutter. You heard me properly. 10 million naira, all going down this Valentine's Day.
Okay, so that's where there's a bone of contention right now. All through the first, let's say 6 or so years. Yes, there was no issue. Why they were in Nigeria?
In our opinion, for the entire 8 years of the marriage was harmonious.
But their focus, their accusation specific on those years that they were out of Nigeria, that they were not in Nigeria.
Because those miscarriages happened happened when they
in
were in Port
Nigeria
Harcourt.
when they were in Port Harcourt.
When they were in Port Harcourt.
They alleged, so I have the medical
And of
reports.
So that's the premise of the other allegation that it was as a result of the
But don't forget, these allegations came up after she died. That was when she started bringing all this. When she was alive, there was no.
When he was
There
alive,
was no challenge.
All of this needs to be clarified because there's like a disconnect, from that 2008.
Whether you play
2008 when they got married.
Okay, so the disconnect here is that she was working all through that time.
Remember,
So it was when she now left Nigeria that she didn't have a job. So the issue then was that he wasn't taking care of her when she did not have a job.
No challenge. She would be the one to ask the question so that we'll make that clarification.
You are listening to your number one station for talk.
Your number one station for talk.
99.3 Nigeria Info.
Okay, that's all right. That's 7:30.
We're live.
Okay.
What do you want to press?
Lagos, good morning. Welcome back. We're still here on Relationship 360. Thank you for staying tuned on the radio here with us. And as you know, we are looking at the case of the Adigwes and all of the issues that had come out. If you were with us last week, you see that the parents did come here and made several allegations against the husband of their late daughter. And today we have the husband here, you refuting or rather telling his own side of the story. He has made some clarifications, but then there are still more questions that need answers. We have Barrister Lumide right here in the studio, and we have his lawyer with us right here in the studio, and Mr. Uche. We have Mr. Uche's lawyer here, right here in the studio, and Mr. Uche is also with us. Mr. Rotimi Adeniyi, and Mr. Uche is with us, via Zoom, clarifying all of this. You were going to say something before I cut in, Mr. Uche. Can you hear me clearly?
So sorry, before then, we were verifying the documents of his payment to the catering school. You saw that now?
Yes, you just showed me something July 9, 2014, where the payment was made $1,200. Payment was made for her to go learn baking. It's a confectionery school.
Yes, in Illinois, in the
United States. Yes. Lagos, I'm seeing all of your WhatsApp messages. We'll be taking your WhatsApp messages and your thoughts very soon. But first of all, let's get down to other things.
We have to quickly clarify this. So, Mr. Uche, let me just debunk the allegation that you were not taking care of the home has been set aside by your account statement showing that according to today's figures, that is between naira and dollar, you were giving your wife approximately $937,500 per month. That's $625. Now let's move on. We have seen that is not true. That allegation that you never took care of the house is not true because we have your account statements right here.
So let's clarify that the money that was sent to your wife was for like the upkeep or her personal money. Let's
How can you
not upkeep of the home?
So let me just put an end to. If you are giving 937,000 naira per month to feed how many people? 3 people. Can't that feed a cup? Let me not even. So let's leave that. When I saw the value, let's leave that. The next thing we move on to is the first miscarriage. The allegation is that when she was pregnant, you had beaten her up, which led to the miscarriage, and she had to be brought from Port Harcourt to Lagos, bleeding on the airplane. And when the mother saw her, they had to take her first to the ladies' room to clean her up at the airport before they rushed her to FESOC Specialist Clinic and Maternity Home. That is Ijeshatedo, Lagos, where she was treated. So the allegation is that she had 2 miscarriages and you beat her up, leading to both miscarriages. You can go ahead.
I listened to that recording, and that I heard what when they said that. I've sent the medical report to my lawyer. Should have the medical report for those two miscarriages. The first miscarriage was in 2009, and what happened was that, of course, she was pregnant, but on the 6th of June 2009, we went to the hospital, Prime Medical Consultants. This is a hospital in Port Harcourt. And why we went to the hospital on that day was because she started spotting. And when we went there, the did an ultrasound scan, and they found out that she had what do they call it again? A fetal pole that was not active, right? So the doctor had concluded that this was a missed abortion, but he allowed us to go home and come back in a week's time for a repeat scan. So I think the doctor gave us some medications and all that. So and he advised us to come back in a week's time. However, it wasn't up to a week. My late wife started having abdominal pain, cramping, and we went back to the hospital. This time she was admitted. The next day after the admission, she started having blood. What do they call it? She was bleeding with having blood clots or bleeding with clots. So there was a repeat scan that was done, and the doctor still maintained that this is a missed abortion, and he offered that this pregnancy, or the pregnancy had to be, what do they call it, had to be evacuated, right? So, but we declined. If you look at the medical report I sent, you would see in the last comment, the doctor said a repeat scan on 11/6/2009 still maintained the diagnosis of missed abortion. So she was offered evacuation of retained products of conception, but she declined and opted to do this in another facility. Why did she decline, or why did we decline? We declined because Mrs. Adigwe, she was in the picture of all of these medical visits in Prime Medical Center. She said I should please send her to Lagos, that she has a doctor she trusts in Lagos that can do the evacuation, that she should come to Lagos. And I could understand her concern because this was my late wife's first pregnancy. So I took my wife to the airport and boarded a flight and put her in the flight, and she went to Lagos. When my wife arrived in Lagos, we spoke, and she told me that, babe, while I was in the plane, she was feeling the blood or the clots coming out. So as soon as she landed Lagos, her mom, and her father were at the airport to receive her, and they took her straight to their doctor. That was what happened. But Mrs. Adigwe last Saturday was making it look as if I beat her up immediately. She started bleeding, and I bundled her to the airport. And I remember what she said. She said, I just gave them a call and said, go to the airport and take your daughter. Why will I do such a thing? The medical report is there. We had visits.
Okay.
We had visits.
Okay, Mr. Uche. The medical report is from Prime Hospital.
Yes,
With
yes.
Mr. Emmanuel.
I've
Please,
seen
can you
that.
read it out?
Yeah, I've gone through this,
Okay.
and he literally said everything he said is what I can see here, and I'm seeing that it's signed here by Gabriel Omoni, which is the clinical director, and this was gotten. I think the stamp here says 23rd of this should be November 2015. Yes,
So this is
that's
the
stamp.
second medical report from the hospital that the mother.
This is from Lagos.
Yes, this is from Lagos. The one you are holding first is from Port Harcourt, where it happened. Now, this is the second medical report from Lagos here, First Up Specialist Clinic. What does that say?
He said she came to the hospital on 11 June 2009 with history of bleeding per Virginia with 3 months pregnancy, and she had lower abdominal pain. And on the examination, she was bleeding clouds, and it shows the production of conception that was already coming down. To prevent much bleeding, she was taken to the theater for evacuation of.
What date was that?
And
what date was that report written?
This report, this is 31st. This should be this is July. Yeah, July 2015.
And I have a report here from the Embassy of Nigeria in Abidjan confirming that she died 30th July 2015. What year was that?
Sorry. This
17th of
this was gotten in 2015. This later was gotten in 2015. But the incident happened 11th June 2009. That was when she came in.
Okay.
So
now
verified.
this FESOC now gives another medical report. That is the mother's hospital. Look at the year.
This is 11th June 2009.
No, the year of the medical report was written. This is another one. So this one is dated what? Look here.
Okay, so that's 31st July 2015, and this is dated 30th March 2017.
2 years after the first medical report came out, their hospital brought out another medical report.
Is it from the same company?
The same hospital of the Adigwe, the one that was brought in Lagos. You now see that there is a difference in the medical report. Can you read that? 2 years after.
So 2 years after, this second one says, I, Yemi Kayode, yes, the gynecologist who treated Mrs. Ifoma Nadi, who was brought into the hospital 11th June 2009, we collaborate with the last one, as a case of severe bleeding. That's when Mrs. Ifoma Nadi was brought into my hospital by her parents, Mr. Eddie Adigwe and Mrs. Maria Adigwe. She was seriously bleeding and her clothes were soaked with blood. On examination, I discovered a 3-month-old fetus already soaked in blood, lying lifeless.
Okay.
I asked Mrs. If she had trauma a few hours ago because the bleeding started some hours ago and had lots of clots of blood. And if she had come to the hospital 3 hours ago, I would have been able to save the pregnancy. The only option was to evacuate. Mrs. Ifoma could not answer my question, but was crying, being in great pain. For my diagnosis, Mrs. Ifoma Nadi started bleeding a few hours before she was brought as a result of traumatic condition that appeared like she had an accident. Her condition did not warrant any delay than to take her straight to the theater to evacuate and save her life.
Now, this is my problem with that. Can I have both? You gave a first medical report. All these was not there in 2015. Then 2 years later, you now remember that she had a traumatic accident. Why was it not in the first one? Do you understand? It is clearly an afterthought. Look at this. 31st/7/2015. This hospital gave one medical report, to whom it may concern. 2 years later, they now give another, which is totally different from what they gave the first year.
My question would be, what did they describe as an accident?
That is the point. It's changed to make it look like an accident. So, when I read it, I stapled it together that, okay, this is, until I now saw that they are 2 years apart. And why the change in story? So
I guess it was procured essentially to support their narrative.
Let's even leave that.
Let's go back to Mr. Uche. Go back to Mr. Uche.
Go ahead.
This miscarriage happened 2009. 2010 we had our first child. 2011 she had another miscarriage. This time around she didn't go to Lagos. This time around she had that evacuation done in St. Catherine's Hospital in Port Harcourt. The same spotting and the same diagnosis of missed abortion. The medical report is there. So when Mrs. Adigwe comes to the show, when in her show last Saturday, she made it look as if I was intentionally hitting her stomach so that was the reason why she had those miscarriages. But that was not the issue. That was not what happened. This was just, unfortunately, she had the miscarriage. It was a missed abortion. And after she had the second miscarriage, 2012 we had our second child. 2015 we had our third child. So why I don't know. I don't know what else to say, but the medical reports are clear.
Okay. Let me move straight to. You have the second medical report from Catherine's hospital.
Yes, I do. I'm just going through it to properly understand it. The different the dates, its numbers. I'm trying to make sure I digest it and understand it very well. But you go ahead.
I just need you to confirm that so that I can go ahead. We can come back to it. This is the second abortion. Sorry, missed abortion. That's the first time I would hear the term. I never knew there was a term like that.
So what does that term really mean? Missed abortion. Can we get the clarification so we already understand, because many people really understand abortion, but for the case of a married woman, when we use the word abortion, it throws people off. Let's really understand what a missed abortion.
Missed abortion is when a pregnancy stops developing, where the embryo or the fetus or the embryonic tissue or empty gestation sac remains in the uterus and the cervical OS is closed. So the symptoms include pain, bleeding, and no symptoms at all. What is the cause of a missed abortion? Causes of missed abortion generally are the same as those causing spontaneous abortion or early pregnancy failure. Causes include an embryonic gestation, that is blighted ovum, fetal chromosomal abnormalities, maternal diseases, embryonic anomalies, and placental abnormalities, and uterine abnormalities. That when they say abnormalities, that is something abnormal happening. Yes.
Okay, so Mr.
So let me move straight again. So let's move to the part.
But Sir Lumide, Mr. Uche, in all of these incidents that happened, did they say what was the reason? Like when you visited the hospital, they will usually diagnose, or did they say what was the issues, why she was having these incidents over and over? Yes, why she was having these incidents? Did they clarify why? Because that is one of the reasons why people go there, to understand what must have prompted it. It was like something wrong in her body.
Why couldn't it have been prevented the second time,
perspective, but what I was told, or my understanding was, this was just they didn't see it as something that was abnormal. It was just an unfortunate situation that she had, that she was spotting, and it could and of course we knew that she was working in the bank, probably due to stress and all of that. But what I do know was that this was what happened. We went to the hospital and they did confirm that the pregnancy was not growing or was not viable. That was my understanding and what I was told at that time.
So they didn't tell you that, oh, this is caused by fibroid, because sometimes it can be all of these issues. We hear it's caused by fibroid, it's caused because this is happening in her uterus, things are not matching, or she needs to stuff like that. There's a chemical reaction. There was no explanation to that extent.
So Emmanuel, you can't tell an engineer to give a medical opinion. Exactly. Yes.
No. I'm just saying, because some of the times, like I did say, especially when it's a case of fibroid, they'll tell you that it's fibroid. So everybody just know that,
because
it's fibroid.
Because you can see his story, he doesn't really know. But what we will face is what the hospital said, because this is written by a doctor, and it says.
The doctor just said
sequel to the letter dated, the above named patient was presented to us on the 6th July 2011 and had a USS done, which revealed that she had a missed abortion. The patient preferred to wait for about 2 weeks before having an evacuation. A week later, she presented with lower abdominal pain and spotting. Evacuation was done on the 15th of July by Dr. Okoye, consultant obstetrician and gynecologist. The procedure was well tolerated. On 1st of September, she gave birth to a 4.5 kilogram female after an uneventful antenatal period. delivery was via emergency cesarean section due to cephalopelvic disproportion. Surgery was carried out by the same consultant. Immediate post-operative condition of both mother and newborn baby were satisfactory. She was discharged on the 6th of September. So I think there is no proof of abuse. We need proof, which there is none at this time. So, Mr. Uche, we're told that sequel to her dying, there was a spate of domestic violence in which you hit her head on the wall, which led to a blood clot in her head and eventually falling into a coma after an operation and dying. So please, can you go ahead to explain to us what happened? Why did you fight? Why the hitting of the head on the wall?
There was no hitting of the head on the wall. On this day, 6th, I just want to make sure I get my dates correctly, 6th July 2015, right? I came back from work. She returned from the US after giving birth to our last daughter. She came back from the US March 2015. So she was fine. She was healthy. She was okay. On the 6th of July, I came back from work. I met my late wife giving the baby a bath. And of course, we greeted and said hello and, just had to catch up for the day. And I told her, this was about 8 p.m. in the night. I told her I wanted to rush down to the salon to have a haircut because I was scheduled to make a trip to Nigeria the next day. So when I went to the salon, I got...
Mr. Uche, you have 2 minutes for this, please.
to an immunization center. I wish people can Google this hospital. So I took her to Avicen. Avicen is the hospital closer to my house at the time. So when I took her there, they admitted her, they checked her, and they put her to sleep and watched her overnight. During the night, she started vomiting and she still had that pain. So the doctor referred us to go to PISAM. PISAM is the second hospital for a brain scan. We went to PISAM for a brain scan and they diagnosed that she suffered a brain aneurysm. I have never heard of a brain aneurysm. That was my first time of hearing that. So the doctor explained to me, and she was still conscious, right? The doctor explained to me that it's an inflammation of the artery, and it got ruptured. The artery got ruptured, but that's what they call a brain aneurysm. So there was no heat on the wall. The scans of my late wife's the scan on her head is available for any doctor to review. Those scans are there with my lawyers. If there are doctors on this call, they can ask for those scans so that they can review. My wife suffered a brain aneurysm, and there was not hitting my wife on the wall. And mind you, let me just chip this in. I did say that Victoria Esedebe was the lady that was giving
99.3 Nigeria Info. We'll be right back.
It's 2025. The biggest conversations are happening on
average 4 to 5, no, 4 years.
Sorry.
Hold on.
We just sorry. We left things up. We'll be back.
So
we'll be back shortly.
you have to go straight to Victoria. We have just very limited time. It's almost 8:00.
We have to manage time very properly. There's
Okay,
not so
alright.
much time.
So how many minutes?
This is just 3 minutes. We'll be back very soon. Okay.
Okay.
Alright, so let's just hit the nail on the head. Talk about this. Talk about the next one. Talk about the next one. Just hit the nail. We'll just try and see how we can limit the question so that we can just be able to touch on all of the relevant issues. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Let's hear some interview.
Okon every Monday to Friday.
So this is Avicen's hospital.
And current affairs show on radio.
So it's a polyclinic. Is that
So
it?
that abortion, miscarriage thing, yeah. I've been married 10 years and we've had 2 experiences. They don't ever tell you.
What's the
They just tell you, try again next time. But before you conceive again, take so drugs. When you conceive, come to the hospital on time, and most times they don't tell you this is, if you have a condition, maybe like fibroid, they will tell you. But if you don't have any condition, they won't. So most of the time, I don't know.
Maybe it's because I grew up from a home where my mom was like maternity, a midwife. Do you understand? So my mom aids women to get pregnant. So usually I hear all of this talk about fibroid. I hear all the talk about saying that the vagina is so hot. I hear talks of saying that there is an inflammation in where the baby is at. The place is inflamed, so the baby cannot stay. So I hear all of these things. So usually there's always a reason why something is happening. Like they literally have to find a reason why something is happening so that they can correct it for the next time.
There's really nothing to correct. Like I said, me, I'm talking about my experience.
Not be everything be like that.
So they won't tell you anything. They'll just tell you
This was the brain
after this.
So the allegation edition of the Access Bank Lagos City Marathon, and Aquafina has been the royal party for 10 years, refreshing and hydrating runners every step of the way. There's no better time than now to run the Lagos City Marathon with Aquafina, your party of life.
So this
In a world where words hold power, where only the sharpest minds survive, one stage will decide it all. On February 17, 2025, the battle of intellect begins. The I Beg to Differ Secondary School Debate Tournament returns. Where the best young debaters go head-to-head.
so funny enough, they were the ones that did not send
Logic and will to win.
This is the
Argue and outshine the competition.
Okay, he has to manage.
IBTD debate competition.
This is him and his wife.
Every 17 at 4 p.m. Watch history unfold. I Beg to Differ is proudly supported by Obuizi, prize money sponsor, Hollywood College Lagos. I Beg to Differ.
We have to do this thing sharp.
Dive straight into the text message.
So, by Salome, they just limit your question. We are going in now.
Yeah,
We're going back now.
I think we're done.
We're going back now.
99.3 Nigeria Info, your number one station for talk. Let's talk.
Okay.
Lagos, you see, apologies for that. It's very emotional here, and we have to let people just speak to clarify these issues because there's been so many allegations online. If you go back to the videos, you have to just see how everything has been put out there, and we have to let him speak. But then again, we still have Mr. Uche here, we still have Barrister Olumide here, and we still have Mr. Rotimi, the lawyer to Mr. Uche, right here in the studio. Barrister Olumide, let's just hit the question and not. So let's clarify everything as much as possible.
Mr. Uche, we were told you hit her head on the wall, and that while after the operation you got out the tubes from her mouth and fed her rice and stew, which caused another problem which led her to a coma, and then she died. So please, I was sent a picture by the Adigwes as well. So please, can you quickly hit this and let's.
I'll quickly say
Yeah.
this. So, like I said, she had a brain aneurysm. I did not hit my wife's head on the wall. She had the surgery. She was sent after the surgery. She was sent to the ICU. And when she was ready, or when the doctors were ready for me to come see my wife, I went into the ICU. She was not. I did not remove any tube. Barrister Olimide, how can I go to an ICU in Pisa and remove a tube and feed my wife rice? Look at the picture. I was the one that sent that picture to Mrs. Adigwe. While my wife was eating, I sent that picture to her so they can have some level of comfort that she was recovering. The doctors, it was that food that she ate in the hospital was provided by the hospital. If you look at the picture, does it look like food that will come from my home? If you look at the picture clearly, you would see that there is a foil paper, there is a bottle of water with a cup. Just look at the presentation of that meal. Does it look like food I will bring from my home? Will I go to an ICU unit and pull a tube from my late wife's mouth and give her rice and stew?
Okay. Can I speak? So we have the picture here. All of us are looking at the picture. First of all, there are no tubes in her mouth, and it was mashed potato, eggs, and sauce, soup. It looked like soup. There was no tube in the mouth, and Mr. Adigwe was not.
You can show that to the camera so people. Yeah. This one.
Okay, you can see that. There was no rice and stew, there was no tube in her mouth. And I also asked that question, that why would you go to a top class hospital, you bring in rice and then remove the tubes, and the doctors and nurses will be looking at you feeding rice and stew? That did not make sense to me.
And from that photo, we can see that there's a monitor there. There's like a heart monitor. So if should anything happen there, one of the things is that it will trigger an alarm that will call in the doctors and the nurses.
This did not even make sense to, because I was wondering how would he be allowed to while he was removing the tube, the alarms would have gone off.
True.
And then it will be supervised, because I'm looking at the hospital. This doesn't look like a small hospital.
Yes, we even checked the first hospital you said you went to.
You know, Emmanuel is a detective. Immediately you mentioned it, he had Googled it, brought up the picture of the hospital, the equipment, and it's not a small hospital.
Yes, we're seeing the Aviance Hospital here, and I can see pictures from 8 years ago, and from the equipment, ECG machines, I can see from 8 years ago. It still shows you that at that point in time, that these people were developing and had developed a lot. So it's not, I would say it's not even a small hospital. But let's go
on. So the last one, Mrs. Adigwe said that you abused her. You threw a can of fleet at her face. Mr. OJ. Fleet. Yes.
Mentioned the name Victoria Esedebe, and Victoria Esedebe was living in our house, and on this certain day we were in the living room. My late wife, Mrs. Adigwe came to our house for Omugwo. So Mrs. Adigwe was in my house in Port Harcourt. My late wife, myself, were in the living room. I called Victoria. I think she was in the kitchen, and I told her, please go fleet our bedroom. Right. So when she went there, within 1 minute she came back. She left. She came back. She came out from the room, and I wanted to quickly pick up something inside the bedroom. So I went in, and I realized that the room was not smelling as a room that had been, insecticide had been. I came out from the room and I called Victoria. I said, Victoria, come. Did you fleet this room? She said she was biting her mouth. She said, yeah, I used the remaining fleet. That the fleet is finished. So I said, what do you mean by fleet is finished? Go and get the can. So she brought the can, and I saw that it was empty. I said, what did you fleet then? Why did you not simply say that there was no fleet and you just went into the room and pretended as if you went to fleet? And as soon as she gave me that can, because I was not happy with her, she was trying to be, she was not truthful to her statement. I just threw the can on the floor towards her. I said, come on, will you take, I'm just dramatizing what happened, right? I said, come on, will you take this can and throw it away and go buy fleet? How will I throw a can of fleet to my mother-in-law? Will I tell my mother?
Okay. So let's quickly move to the abduction of the daughter. I think that's the big story here.
But Barcelona, before we get to that, I just want to ask you this, Mr. Oche. Did you live peacefully with your wife? Because I understand that couples have issues, okay? It's not easy. Marriage is an institution, like they say. They usually have the back and forth arguments. Was there any case of you laying your hands on your wife? Just be honest with us.
Go ahead quickly. Oh yeah, go ahead, please, very quickly. Oh yeah, 1 minute. Okay.
All right, Mr. Uche.
Oh yeah, okay. And this was how many months before she died? Before she died, there was no mention. Okay, there was no mention of abuse there.
Let's move on.
Let's move on.
There are so many
So
things.
the abduction of your daughter by officers of Zone 2, can you speak to that, or do I let the lawyer speak to that? Okay, now thank you. Barrister Rotimi Adeni, please, we have just 10 minutes for you to talk. And why I'm saying 10 minutes is that, to bring you all the way here and you're not saying anything. So let's quickly go about this, the abduction.
Okay, thank you so much for this.
Please move closer to your mic.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Clearly, the narrative by Mr. and Mrs. Adigwe is unfounded, same is baseless. As you can see from all of the evidences in court and documents before the station, we have not been able to find one single shred of evidence connecting our client to the alleged battery or murder. The issue is a subject of litigation, and we believe the court will do the right thing. As regards the custody issue, we believe there's no issue of custody. That child was abducted, and our only prayer to God was for the release of that child. And that issue had been put to rest by the judgment dated August 6th, 2020. A judgment delivered by Honorable Justice Obadino, wherein the judge upheld our position and ordered the immediate release of that child. Since 2020, they have failed to comply with that directive. In fact, I personally had to prevail on our client to employ some restraint in order not to execute, because I still believe in the principle of having a harmonious family, and we felt we could still go the way of settlement, amicable settlement. And we thought, let's still talk so they can, release that child. All of the medical history, all of the personal effects could be given up, voluntarily. But when that failed, reports got to us.
What do you mean it failed?
Yeah,
after the court order,
the court order, we were supposed to execute, but they approached us and they said, "We should indicate what day will come pick up the child." Their lawyer at the time, a particular barrister Tijani, who's a gentleman, approached us that they were going to abide by the judgment of that court. Apparently, it took about 2 weeks for them to approach the Court of Appeal to proceed to file a notice of appeal. We had more than enough time, but it was my personal intervention that, let's not use force, let's not use the police to retrieve that child. We may still need to communicate with them. And medical records and school records because of all of that, I wanted a smooth transition. And they felt they were smart. They approached the Court of Appeal, filing a frivolous, appeal. And whilst we would say that appeal is still pending, there is no stay of execution whatsoever. And we believe the status quo is that child being with the legitimate father. The balance of convenience is for that child to go with the legitimate father. Aside that,
I learned that there was a settlement. They wanted some money.
They approached our client requesting for reimbursement for all of the expenditure on that child.
The money they spent on their grandchild.
Yeah. So, however, we didn't have any objection to that. Albeit the fact that they gave a lesser standard and our client felt it could have given her better education, Medicare in the US. She's a US citizen. They went outside our client's consent to hold on to that child. And in fact, I would refer particularly to the criminal code, which makes provision specifically in 371, where abduction is clearly defined and provided for. If you permit me, I'll quickly run through. Because the basis of our criminal petition at Zone 2 was premised on the fact that we got disturbing reports that that child was being abused. She was being used as a domestic servant. She was being exposed to all sorts of danger. She was riding to school in a tricycle, unsupervised, and there was likelihood that she was being sexually, assaulted or abused. And that was the basis upon which we filed a criminal petition at the IG's office. Investigations started, and the court judgment was obtained in order to say, whilst there's a civil suit saying you should have released this child, now information getting to us is there is a criminal, aspect which law enforcement must quickly swing into action to save that child from being completely damaged. It was on that premise that the police had to pick up that child and pick up Mrs. Adigwe. Based on her antecedents, she had been previously invited. She never honored invitation, and I believe that is on the basis of the fact that her husband is a retired officer. She believes, she's alone to herself. So, considering the circumstances, they had to go pick up that child and pick up the woman. In her interview, she stated 10 men were there. All her allegations are hearsays. She was not there at the time the child was picked up. The father was there physically. I was there. We picked her up in the most undramatic manner, but the police officers were there to protect our client. That said, the police have acted within their rights. They've done the lawful thing by protecting law and order. And that child is safe and sound and happy to be with her dad. In fact, if you permit us, the child is ready to say at current state. If she's happy being with her dad, or
where is she currently?
She's currently with her father.
Hold on.
Yeah, we can clarify that.
Hold on. I learned that there were some social workers also involved from Lagos State there.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, when it comes to the issues of children, it's a peculiar situation. Assessors and the family court has the mandate, to hear issues that has to do with children. So we have reports from the social welfare, confirming that our client is fit and proper to have custody of his child.
Okay, not a problem. Now the issue of the autopsy, how
correct.
How you refused to have that autopsy to determine the cause of death.
On the issue of the autopsy, like I said, the issue is currently subject of litigation. They filed that suit, and strangely, we're taken aback that this incident happened in 2015, which is about 10 years from now. And the moment that child was picked up, it was at that point that they came to media. They dragged our client to court, and we responded, immediately, and we even filed counter claims.
Okay.
Because we believe Since they filed action, we would wait for the court to give necessary.
So you did not in any way try to prevent
Did you
the
try
autopsy?
to prevent I want Mr. Uche to.
Now-
Mr. Uche, are you
now
there?
on the-
Sorry.
On the issue of autopsy.
Sorry,
Mr.
please,
Uche-
sorry.
Mr.
Mr.
Uche,
Uche, when she died, I saw that you have embassy papers here, for transporting the corpse back to Nigeria. So what happened? You were supposed to do an autopsy. What happened? In 2 minutes. 2 minutes. How when you say hijack how do they hijack a body?
Yeah.
Two minutes. 2 minutes.
We don't even have up to that time.
Okay. We are going on a break.
So we have to go on a break. But when we do come back from this break, we'll just have to, tie all the loose
Everything
ends.
and
Everything
quickly,
ends.
please.
So we have to, follow the time approximately. Lagos, we're going on a very short break. Please stay here. We're still answering your questions. I can see your questions on WhatsApp. I can see your questions on YouTube. We're following all of your questions and providing feedback, and asking all of the questions that you're putting out there. So you can also share your questions there. We'll get in touch with you. We'll be right back shortly after this break. Don't go nowhere.
One station for talk.
99.3 Nigeria Info.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
Are we saying your name gets alarm?
As we celebrate 10 years of 7up and Lagos City Marathon being in the game, we have to give it to Lagosians. We know all about running. To enter Danfo, we run! Snoring, son, unnecessary billing.
This is Lagos and we love running. So, whatever your reason for running this year, own your lane with 7up at the Access Bank Lagos City Marathon on the 15th of February. 7up, the diff is clear. It's 2025. The biggest conversations are happening on Hard Facts.
That's what you see here. Nigerians, you know your listeners. You get fast now. When the news are down,
from the stories shaping Nigeria's future.
I'm talking my most brother. Whenever people are clapping, he's playing singers when they ought to be playing in the queue.
I mean, you don't do any marketable thing in your state, and you actually getting corruption.
To real-time feedback from you, the citizens.
Just responding on YouTube, like following there are people there, all these things that they use. If you had watched it last week, how did you feel about the way
Makers hold the powerful accountable and keep the conversation alive on social media. Join
even the lady in your position was adding
to Friday.
Yeah, because the thing is this. When people come to us, the thing is that we treat you first. That is what
nobody
I said as a lawyer, you're bound to do whatever your client tells you.
Let's
You don't expect to be listening to advance.
Hello, excuse
Advance
me.
parties are the
This
ones that will
pack
now
looks
respond.
different.
That is your own duty.
And it's not it's probably
It just shows that he's at the middle because
This
last
one is
week
new and improved.
people felt like he was supporting his family. This week now, people are saying that Uchenna has contacted him that he is Uchenna's lawyer.
No, but if you do
I like this one.
Your kids need nutrition energy. Give them the new and improved Mellow at breakfast. It has nutrients that support energy release to help them get the most out of their day. Mellow, energy to go further.
For a decade, the Access Bank Lagos City Marathon has been more than just a race. It's been a collection of stories of ordinary people achieving the extraordinary. Every stride taken has created unforgettable memories of triumph, purpose, and shared experiences. With each step, runners have sparked passion that ignites, moments that last a lifetime, strides that leave a legacy.
Continue to pursue litigation.
Join us as we celebrate a decade of running, purpose, and progress at the 10th anniversary of the Access Bank Lagos City Marathon. Register today at accessbankplc.com/marathon and be a part of the journey where every step becomes a story to remember. The Access Bank Lagos City Marathon celebrating 10 years of running. See you at the starting line.
There are so many distractions taking away the attention of my family, from phone screens to work screens and others.
So if they continue the whole back and forth,
when it comes to Devon King, we all come together to
they will hold on to the
take away all the distractions. Hey, no one's at my table.
First of all,
oh yeah, let's eat.
He handed that child, not knowing.
Cook up unbreakable buns with Devon King's range of cooking oil, margarine, spread, and seasoning. Great for bonding moments. Devon King, taste that binds. Available across stores nationwide.
We never ever said that we were going to hold
In a world where words hold power, where only the sharpest minds survive. One stage will decide it all. On February 17th, 2025, the battle of intellect begins. The I Beg to Differ Secondary School Direct Tournament returns. The best young races go head to head. Armed with nothing but facts, logic, and the will to win. Who will stand their ground? Who will outthink, out-argue, and outshine the competition? IBTV Race Competition Studio reopens February 17th at 4 p.m. Tune in, witness the debates, watch history unfold. I Beg to Differ is proudly supported by OBBZ, prize money sponsor, College Lagos. I Beg to Differ, the tournament.
Please, I like that part. Please, I like that part.
9 lawyers in 10 years.
We're back.
99.3.
Your number one station for talk. Let's talk.
Yeah, just wrap up.
The issue that was brought to it.
Okay. All right.
Lagos, welcome back. This is 99.3 Nigerian Fan. We're still on Relationship 360 and we're handling the case of Mr. and Mrs. Adigwe versus Uche Naji. And right here, we're still, looking at the issues on ground. And Uche has been here, clarifying all of the accusations from last week from Mrs. Maria Adigwe and her husband. I will go to you now, Barrister Rotimi. Okay. There's so many.
No, hold on. No. He was still talking.
Oh, yes. Uche was still talking while we left. Okay. So,
Uche, please, you said very quickly, you said that the corpse was now taken to one island mortuary or stuff. Why was there no autopsy? I need to understand. You said the body was hijacked.
Please, we have
from
2
the
minutes
airport.
on that.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
They took the body to the mortuary, and the owner of the ambulance went to that mortuary and told them what happened at the airport. Gave them all the documents, and the mortuary facility found out that act that was done at the airport was illegal. They were not supposed to have the body. Now, I went based on what happened at the airport. I filed a petition to the IG's office, and I informed the police that you should please come and handle this matter, and also have an autopsy to be done. The police invited me to come to Abuja to write my statement, which I did. They invited the Adigwes. They never came. They said they were taking care of the baby. They were not strong and all of that. The police officers offered that they want to come to Lagos and pick up their statement. They also declined. Now, within the period of police matter and all of that, they went to Zone 2. They went to Zone 2 and obtained a coroner inquest, right?
Hold on. Who first went to Zone 2? Who first went to Zone 2? So they were the ones that first went to Zone 2. Okay, go ahead, quickly.
Filed that document, they filed another amendment saying that they are no longer interested in autopsy. The documents are there.
Yes.
They are no longer interested in autopsy. And what was their reason? Their reason was that they feel that the police, the mortuary, and Uche Naji must have tampered with their daughter's body to cover the truth. That's all I can say. That was the reason why they refused to do the autopsy. So they are the ones that opted out from the autopsy, and they made that same oral argument in front of Justice, what's her name again? Justice Harrison. They made that same oral argument. Justice Harrison told them, "Are you sure you don't want an autopsy to be done?" This was after my wife's body was in the mortuary for 1 year, 6 months. And Justice Harrison said, "Are you sure?" And Mrs. Adigwe stood up in court and said, "No, we don't want the autopsy again. Let's go and lay our daughter to rest. We don't believe that we'll get any results."
Okay, because we are short of time. I heard that arrangements had already been made and a place was already dug for the burial. We have 2 minutes. How long after the body landed was this? How long after the body landed Nigeria did they go and dig a grave to bury? You don't understand my question. The body was supposed to have come to Nigeria for an autopsy at Luth. The body was now taken. When did you now hear that they had already dug a grave? How long after they had already dug a grave? How can we, bury, like do a service or, on the land? They were to do a burial service on the land? Okay. Okay. So now I did my own searching, my findings, and I found out that the Adigwes had hired 9 lawyers on this matter. The first lawyer was Mr. Festus Keyamo himself, who dropped the matter after. Then they hired Mrs. Aru Bakari, who dropped the matter. Then Mr. Taiwo, that is Barrister Taiwo Adedeji, who dropped the matter. Then another Barrister Diola Shaba, who dropped the matter. And another barrister, Mr. L.A. Tijani, who dropped the matter. And Mr. B.A. Ogundare, that's barrister, dropped the matter. Another Adebo Ale Adenigbade and co, who took the matter and dropped the matter. And Obafemi Oluwole, another 9 different lawyers on this matter who kept dropping the matter. The first one was Festus Keyamo himself. And you, Mr. Rotimi, have been the only lawyer or the only counsel on record.
Yes, we handled this matter from inception and we continue to be the lawyers.
All right. So we have just yes. That is all. That is all you will have, sir.
Okay, if I may have to.
Okay, okay, okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. How is your daughter, by the way? Can I just say hello to her?
Okay, on the issue,
And barrister, you can go ahead now.
on the issue of the custody, the autopsy, right? That has also been settled. They waived their right to conduct this, an autopsy on that body.
Chigozie, how are you? You have to say you are really fine. So how are you enjoying bonding with your father? How is everything? How are you doing? Okay. How is your stepmother? Hope there is no problem. Oh, okay. You have been gisting with her on the phone. No problem.
Do you miss Nigeria?
No, who said she's in?
let's just.
Let me just go straight. Chigozie, I just wanted to be sure that you were fine and everything is okay. I've been hearing the voice of your father. I wanted to hear your voice to be sure that you are not hurt, to be sure that you are being taken care of. Hello? Unfortunately, we are out of time. You didn't hear. I said I wanted to hear your voice to be sure that you are okay and you are being properly taken care of.
All right.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Because I will be talking to you after. So 2 minutes, lawyer, before I
Wrap up. Yeah.
I wrap up. I need to wrap up.
Okay, I wanted to read the section of the criminal code that says any person who, with intent of deprive any parent, guardian, or other person who has the lawful care or charge of a child under the age of 12 years of possession of such child, or with intent to steal any article upon or about the person of any such child, forcibly or fraudulently takes, entices away, or detains the child, or receives or harbors the child, knowing it to have been so taken and enticed away or detained, is guilty of a felony and is liable to imprisonment for 14 years. The crux of this provision is we have filed a criminal petition and we believe the young child should get justice. She's been taken 10 years of her life. She's been deprived of the care and love of her father and her older siblings. And we believe that this matter should be prosecuted and Mrs. Adigwe brought to book. That's our position. And also to add,
10 seconds.
please permit me,
10 seconds.
this text, I may not be able to go the entire length, but to show the kind of people the Adigwes are. They are contemptuous people. They are gold diggers.
No, you cannot go there. You cannot go there.
Okay, but even they lack the moral standing, because even before the court, we had filed processes showing that Mr. Adigwe, even in the text messages between Mrs. Adigwe and the daughter, at some point had STD. And the text is here.
Okay,
and this is the basis upon which we are saying he does not even have the right to hold on to that child.
You know what we do? The thing is that Nigeria Info is only doing this so that we can put this and clear this out.
The text message
Make sure that every party, come to the light, and this matter comes to the light. Okay?
I am going to wrap
so it's
up
not
now.
a personal thing. Let's not bring personal issues.
Absolutely.
This case will continue in court.
The reason why I have brought this on is because they made direct insults on the parents of Mr. Naji. They alleged that the father was in Batra, that the mother abandoned the man. So my take is, if they had that opportunity to throw aspersions and slander them, then we too should be able to show that there are people who are not who do not have any moral standing. And this forms part of the records of their appeal.
Thank you, Barrister Rotimi.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Barrister Rotimi. Now I will just wrap this up.
Please.
Because somebody jumped in mud does not mean we should also jump in the same mud. But here we go. I was approached by Mr. and Mrs. Adigwe on recommendation from one of the people that listened to this program. And they came to me crying and really passionate that their daughter had been abducted, their granddaughter had been abducted. And the way it was presented to me, I was so mad that immediately I myself got them and took them straight to the commissioner of police, and also blacklisted Mr. Uche, saying that this guy wants to take this child out of the country. And I made sure that the name was blacklisted in immigration so that if he were trying to travel, he will not travel. So I did all this out of the sentiment of someone who is 73, a 73-year-old man and a 60-something-year-old woman who were really crying, and they showed me their own court documents, they sent it to me, not a problem. But after this, I now got across to the lawyer of Mr. He was the one that reached out to me and said, can we have a minute with you? And they brought their own documents. They brought everything because they had listened to them. And I went through both documents. I called Mr. and Mrs. Adigwe that I am going to meet with this gentleman and his lawyer on Tuesday. So I want to hear what they have to say. And this is where I started having a problem with them. The moment I mentioned to them that I was going to meet with, they just changed. They said I should not meet with them nor listen to what they have to say, that they will lie, that they bought the police, they bought the judiciary, and they were going to buy me. I said, no problem. Let me hear what they have to say. Natural justice, you must listen to both sides. Sure. And then they started bombarding me with messages saying, well, if I must meet with Mr. Uche, they must be there. And I said, when you met with me, were they there? No. So what do you want to come and do in my office? You want to come and fight? I said, I will meet with them. I will hear them out. Because before you call somebody a murderer, that he killed his wife, I better had been damn sure, because it was on my program, you did that. When I saw the court documents that this child had even been awarded to them by court in 2020, I first of all was weak. Then I saw a notice of appeal. Now, a notice of appeal, you can put a notice of appeal, and then 50 years after, nothing, there was no stay of execution, there was nothing. And then I now started seeing pictures. Mrs. Adigwe herself forwarded this picture to me, that this was the picture of him feeding rice and stew. When we now looked at the picture and enhanced it, we saw that it was mashed potato and eggs, and it was even fed by the hospital. They said, so I started seeing that there were so many things wrong with what they were saying. Then I now saw that Mr. Festus Keyamo himself was their first counsel who dropped the matter. And then 9 other lawyers picked up the matter and then later dropped the matter. In fact, one or two of the lawyers, in fact, let me leave that. So I decided that I must bring this gentleman up here to also give his defense so that you will judge for yourselves. We cannot call a dog a bad name to kill it. I find, and then I had not even said anything to the Adigwes on my findings. I was quiet for 2 days, and next thing, I saw a barrage of messages. They started saying, I regret coming to you. I regret telling you, Barrister Olumide, Mr. Naji has paid you. I had not even told them anything of my findings. I just said they should give me some time to verify all this documentation, and that is how they started attacking me. And that was my red flag, that these people, how can you tell me, cover my eyes and tell me where to look? That I can't look here, I can't look there, I must look here. I said, no way. I was at Zone 2 day before yesterday. I was at Luth yesterday. Ladies and gentlemen, this way I will tell you that I find no credibility in all the allegations. They have been they were the ones that even first went to the same Zone 2 they came to come and criticize on this program. And this station will not let somebody come and use this station as a means to spread false news. I follow the facts. I am not for or against any of them. I am just here for truth. And when I found out that this thing there is no proof of the abuse, even in their own medical reports that they brought to me, that the doctor or gynecologist changed the story 2 years after. Again, brought another, it was just full of irregularities. And then the fact that there was one of their nieces, the Adigwe's nieces, that was living with these people in the final 4 years, and that girl did not allege any domestic violence. Her name is it Victoria? She was living with them. Why hasn't she come out to say, yes, this is domestic violence and abuse? The man, their daughter, a doctor, also came to Abidjan. That is Mrs. Adigwe's daughter, who is a doctor, also flew into Abidjan to see it, and she did not allege any domestic violence and abuse. So why would you come on air and use this place to call a man a murderer without proof? I had to block, and I told them this is the last time you would ever get across to me. I had to block both of them. The way they attacked me for listening to this man's story, listen, my bank account is still the same. I had to stop all the newspapers. 5 different newspapers wanted to publish this. I had to stop them, that I find irregularities. People wanted to donate so that I pick up this course. I had to tell them, please don't send any money for this. So on Monday, that I have found some irregularities. So ladies and gentlemen, I find that this is not credible at all. Did you think I will not investigate? Do you think I'm those kind of lawyers that you come and you turn their heads and they will start turning around and start propagating lies? That is not the kind of person I am. Thank you, everybody. I keep telling anyone that comes along my way, okay, I have 1 minute, and that is the end of the program. Okay. If you lie to me, nothing I do for you will work. Happy Valentine's Day this Friday to everybody. Next week, Saturday, is the 3rd Saturday of the month. Ordinarily, there will be the purple curtain, but it will not hold. I will be at Harvester City Church, plots 1 and 2, Harvester City close off Adebayo Street, by famous bus stop Pedro, Shomolu. I will be there from 1 p.m. speaking at a lunch. You are all free to attend. I will teach and answer your questions. You are supposed to be at the purple curtain. It will not hold this Saturday. I will be at the Harvester City Church in Shomolu. Please join me there, 1 p.m. I will be there and to talk and also to answer all your questions. You can follow me on YouTube and Facebook at Barrister Olumide, where I talk and I give you some snippets. For those that might want to reach out to me, 0909 3214 942. 0909 3214 942. For those that might want to reach out to me. In fact, I'm just, this has not happened on this station before. I am very upset.
Yes, and I have to come in here and say that as much as possible, Nigeria Info has done, its duty to make sure that every party come out
both sides of the story.
You were hearing both sides of the story. They say usually there are 3 sides to a story. We've heard both sides. It's left for you to do what you may with the information part. But the thing is that we've done our part to bring both sides. You've heard both sides of the story. It's left for you to judge the case. You can follow the case up because, of course, there's still litigation. They're still going to court, so you can follow through. The lawyer is there. Barrister Rotimi, Mr. Uche is here. But Nigeria has done. The Nigerian Info has done his own best. We have no personal interest in this matter. It's sad, it's very sad, but this is as far as we can go. Thank you so much to Mr. Uche. Thank you so much to Mrs. Adigwe that approached us. This case is out there right now. Barrister Olumide, thank you so much.
Yes,
thank you for doing your due diligence.
Now I call on the Nigerian Immigration Service to release the embargo on Mr. When I don't carry person, almost kill and finish. Don't say no be so.
You go do the right thing. That's last.
Yes, please again, join me this Saturday at the Harvester City Church, Shomolu. I will be there and I will start speaking at 1 p.m.
Thank you so much.
There will be no purple curtain this Saturday.
The Daily Digest is up next with Jimmy Disu. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Conversations are happening on Hard Facts.
If one of the people was genuinely interested in local government funds, would have protested with the council. Nobody is receiving 30,000 naira after 7 days.
Real-time feedback.
Nine lawyers. I can't even make us hold the
Thank you very much, everybody. I really appreciate it.
Every Monday to Friday.